Buongiorno a tutti.
Buongiorno. I'd like to introduce live vivo the Loyola University Professor Emeritus Raffaele Di Zenzo.
Buongiorno a tutti, benvenuti a questo Grand Tour di Mark Twain in Italia nel 1867. Quindi, poco dopo l'unificazione d'Italia del 1860-61 e dopo la tragedia della guerra civile americana. Quindi lui segue il Grand Tour dei grandi poeti inglesi e tedeschi. Ebbene, c'è questa grande tradizione intellettuale dell'Europa. Sappiamo chi è Mark Twain, tutti naturalmente. Quindi ha scritto le sue osservazioni positive, quasi tutte positive, e alcune anche negative, va bene, dei suoi viaggi in Italia. Ha visitato Genova, Milano, Verona, Venezia, Pisa, Firenze, Pisa, Roma, Napoli e Pompei. Quindi veramente un grand tour, non solo di una città o due città. Quindi vede i pregi e i difetti degli italiani. Dall'interno è un'altra situazione. Quindi ha raccolto queste sue osservazioni con questo volume di Innocence Abroad. Va bene? Allora, incominciamo con Genova. Perché Genova? Lui viene dalla Francia naturalmente, da Parigi e poi va in Italia, e Genova intenzionalmente va a Genova perché vuole stabilire che Cristoforo Colombo è nato a Genova, va bene? Contro altre idee non chiare che lo facevano nascere in Spagna, perché lì nella casa museo di Genova di Cristoforo Colombo c'è una lettera sua di Cristoforo Colombo che dice: io nacqui a Genova. Quindi l'evidenza è lì. Poi voleva seguire questo viaggio attraverso l'oceano perché nel 1453 è una data importantissima per l'Europa. Cosa è il 1453?
La caduta di Costantinopoli.
Esattamente, l'assedio, the attack of Constantinople by the Turks. Naturalmente...
È come se Roma diventasse musulmana.
No, non necessariamente, ma comunque va bene. È una buona osservazione. Quindi voleva trovare una via alternativa per andare all'est. Avevano bisogno di tante cose l'Europa. E quindi, siccome Costantinopoli, specialmente Costantinopoli, Aleppo e Cairo erano state bloccate dai turchi, quindi Cristoforo Colombo voleva trovare una via alternativa. E siccome la terra è rotonda, right? Sappiamo the earth is round, lui voleva andare da est all'ovest e non da ovest all'est. Quindi sarebbe andato nella stessa direzione. approssimatamente, e sarebbe arrivato dove? In India. Perché nessuno sapeva, in Europa almeno, che c'era questo continente qui tra l'Europa e la Cina e l'India.
Anche
No one knew that.
l'oceano.
Sì, era solo oceano, esatto. Quindi non sapevano che c'era questo continente enorme dell'America. Infatti anche nel museo della casa di Colombo a Genova c'è anche una lettera di questo famoso cartografo che si chiama Paolo del Pozzo Toscadelli, e lui aveva fatto una specie di carta geografica e dicendo che si può andare in India perché la Terra è rotonda, è una circonferenza, una sfera rotonda. E poi c'era un altro problema, che purtroppo le repubbliche marinare, soprattutto italiane, non avevano i mezzi per aiutarlo a fare questo grande viaggio. E quindi si rivolse alla Spagna. Ma la Spagna aveva un altro problema. Quale problema aveva la Spagna?
La riconquista.
Doveva finire la Reconquista, perché anche la Spagna era dominata dai Mori, i cosiddetti Mori. Però il 1° gennaio del 1492 la Spagna completò la Reconquista e quindi la regina Isabella lo poteva aiutare. Adesso I can help you for this voyage, who knows where. Sì, buon viaggio. E ricevette gli aiuti e il 3 agosto del 1492, lo stesso anno, partirono dal convento, from the monastery of l'Arabida, in nomine Domini, Amen. In nomine Domini, it's Latin, but in the name of the Lord. And now, Mark Twain retraces the footsteps, the steps of Colombo e arriva a Genova. Oltre che a visitare il museo, la casa museo di Colombo, ha le sue osservazioni riguardo questa città, Genova. Va bene? Adesso Sara Molnar, che è la fidanzata del mio figlio Giuseppe, saranno i miei assistenti, i nostri assistenti. Va bene? Sì. E leggerà in inglese cosa dice Twain di Genova. Va bene?
These people here live in the heaviest, broadest, darkest, and solidest houses one can imagine. The republics of Genoa and Pisa were very powerful in the Middle Ages. Their ships filled the Mediterranean, and they carried on an extensive commerce with Constantinople and Syria. Their warehouses were the great distributing depots from whence the costly merchandise of the East was sent abroad over Europe.
Grazie. Non soltanto Genova e Pisa, grande repubblica marinare, ma anche Venezia e Amalfi, quindi queste grandi 4 repubbliche marinari che controllavano il mercato di tutto il Mediterraneo.
Lo stemma della marina italiana ce l'ha.
Certo, certo. È una grande storia di queste 4 grandi repubbliche marinare. Va bene? E lo dice lui stesso. Mark Twain fulfilled the Mediterranean, and they carried on an extensive commerce with the Constantinople and Syria, Aleppo, mostly. And, in a sense, se vediamo Genova, ma soprattutto Venezia, è il risultato di questa loro potenza marinara. Va bene? E da Firenze, da Genova adesso va a Milano. Naturalmente Milano è una grande città. E questo è il Duomo maestoso di Milano. E naturalmente ha una descrizione meravigliosa del Duomo di Milano. Sara?
What a wonder it is, so grand, so solemn, so vast, and yet so delicate, so airy, so graceful, a miracle, an anthem sung in stone, a poem wrought in marble. It is noble, it is beautiful. Wherever you stand in Milan, or within 7 miles of Milan, it is visible. And when it is visible, no other object can change your whole attention. It is the first thing you look at when you rise in the morning, and the last your lingering gaze rests at night. Surely it must be the princeliest creation that ever a brain of man conceived. They say that the Cathedral of Milan is second only to St. Peter's at Rome. I cannot understand how it can be second to anything made by human hands.
So what a great tribute to the Duomo di Milano, and we can see it, lo possiamo vedere. Naturalmente poi va a vedere il monastero di Santa Maria delle Grazie. E nel Santa Maria delle Grazie c'è la famosa Ultima Cena di Leonardo. Ma la trova in brutte condizioni. In che senso brutte condizioni? E dice pure, e sa anche la ragione perché è in brutte condizioni. I soldati di Napoleone, quando cominciarono a venire in Italia, a cercare di occupare l'Italia, naturalmente Milano era una grande parte dei suoi piani di occupare l'Italia. Il refettorio dove i monaci, the monks were eating, i soldati napoleonici lo usarono come stalla per i cavalli. What is sacrilege? E lui lo stesso dice, Mark Twain, deplorable sacrilege. Poi in Italia c'è una frase che è un gioco di parole sul cognome di Napoleone. Qual è il cognome di Napoleone? Bonaparte. No, il gioco di parole funziona così. La domanda è questa. È vero che tutti i francesi sono ladri? It's true that all the French people are thieves? The answer is tutti no, ma Bonaparte sì. Va bene? Purtroppo lui cercava di fare il grande impero francese, ma poi la situazione di Napoleone è delicata perché i primi 10 anni della sua vita era italiano, di Ajaccio in Corsica, e la Francia occupò la Corsica e lui diventò cittadino francese e poi imperatore di Francia. conquistò la Russia, Mosca, no? Austria, Austerlitz, no? Tutti sappiamo queste sue battaglie. Va bene. E da Milano va a Verona. E Verona sappiamo perché è necessaria una visita a Verona. Ecco il balcone di Giulietta. Una cosa importante da notare che Shakespeare non l'ha inventata la storia di Giulietta e Romeo. In italiano si dice Giulietta Romeo. Romeo means a pilgrim to Rome. Dante l'ha menzionata nel Divina Commedia, la tragedia, perché lui, Dante, era a Verona quando la tragedia venne in azione, perché Dante fu esiliato da Firenze e poi andò a Verona, ospite di Grancan della Scala, il signore di Verona, e poi a Venezia, e poi da Venezia andò a Ravenna perché c'era il convento della figlia, e lì scrisse la Divina Commedia. Quindi Shakespeare must have known the history of Italy and then Romeo and Juliet over Dante, non lo sappiamo, però Shakespeare sapeva il latino e sapeva un po' di italiano, va bene? E naturalmente tutti vanno a vedere, un momento, Joey, tutti vanno a vedere questo balcone, ma soprattutto la statua di Giulietta. If you notice, the tourists are a little bit irreverent. If you notice, the breast of Giulietta is shiny. Do you know why the tourists do? They have to touch it, okay? Unfortunately. And naughty people. E naturalmente da Verona continua a Venezia, perché Venezia poi non è tanto lontano da Verona. E naturalmente glorifica, come Genova e come Milano, glorifica la storia di Venezia. In italiano diciamo la Serenissima, no? Regina dell'Adriatico, the Queen of the Adriatic Sea. Sarah, please.
The Venice, which was a haughty, invincible, magnificent republic for nearly 1,400 years, whose armies compelled the world's applause whenever and wherever they battled, whose navies well high held dominion of the seas, and whose merchant fleets widened the remote oceans with their sails and loaded those piers with the products of every clime. 600 years ago, Venice was the autocrat of commerce. Her mart was the great commercial center, the distributing house from whence the enormous trade of the Orient was spread abroad over the Western world.
Grazie, Sara. Quindi, what a great tribute to the history of Venezia. Now, questo palazzo, questo grande palazzo, era il palazzo dei dogi, ok? Quelli che erano anche i presidenti della Repubblica di Venezia. In italiano singolare è doge, plurale dogi. Now, doge, it's a dialect of Venice, means a duke. Now, unfortunately, in America, we say doge. Horrible, horrible. They don't know what they are talking about. Say, right? Doge. They use an Italian word for, do the terrible things. And now, in Venice, sends a great social message to America. Because if he had written this message in America, for America, would not be effective as much. But he sends this great social message to America from Venice. Grazie, Sarah.
The guide I have spoken of is the only one we have had yet who knew anything. He was born in South Carolina of slave parents. They came to Venice while he was an infant. He has grown up here. He is well educated. He reads, writes, and speaks English, Italian, Spanish, and French with perfect facility, is a worshiper of art and thoroughly conversant with it, knows the history of Venice by heart, and never tires of talking of her illustrious career. He dresses better than any of us, I think, and is daintily polite. Negroes are deemed as good as white people in Venice, and so this man feels no desire to go back to his native land. His judgment is correct.
Grazie. Wow, a great message from America in 1867. And that's incredible. That's really unbelievable. What a great homage of Mark Twain about Venice. Then from Venice goes, naturalmente, Firenze, Florence. Ok, questo è naturalmente il centro di Firenze, il Duomo, la cattedrale, la vita di Firenze intorno a questa grandiosa cattedrale, costruita dai Medici. I Medici erano bankers, even though say Medici, medical, maybe at principio there were some doctors type, but they were bankers above all, okay? So they were super rich. And then Mark Twain has a great homage to the Medici family. Okay.
That ungrateful city that had exiled him and persecuted him would give much to have it there. Medici are good enough for Florence. Let her plant Medici and build grand monuments over them to testify how gratefully she was.
Okay, so we have a few things to clarify here. And you show that Mark Twain knows everything about Florence, at least, you know, the main things. Ma prima di andare alla cattedrale, Mark Twain va alla chiesa di Santa Croce. A Santa Croce perché ci sono le tombe dei grandi italiani. Soprattutto Santa Croce, ok? La statua è Dante, la statua di Dante fuori dalla cattedrale, ok? Ma l'importanza è l'interno, dentro la cattedrale. Ci sono le tombe dei grandi italiani. Sì? Joy? Ok, before Machiavelli, before. I mean, sorry, Joy. Dopo Machiavelli, dopo Machiavelli. Ok, questo è il monumento a Machiavelli. Ok? Perché Machiavelli? Perché ha scritto il famoso piccolo piccolo, il principe, the prince. Ok? So 1513, 1513, so 5 secoli fa. E perché è sepolto a Firenze, nella cattedrale di Firenze? Perché ha scritto questo grandioso libro di come un principe, un presidente, un governatore, un sindaco e mayor should govern. Written 5 secoli fa. E leggiamo un paragrafo del principe come deve governare. Va bene? Questo sta nella biblioteca qui, quindi se lo volete leggere dopo tutto lo potete prendere. Sara, per favore? Ok, solo questo paragrafo qui, va bene?
A prince should also show his esteem for talent, actively encouraging able men and paying honor to eminent craftsmen. So he should encourage his citizens, enabling them to go peaceably about their business, whether it be trade or agriculture or any other profession. One man should not be afraid of improving his possessions, lest they be taken away from him, or another deterred by high tax from starting a new business. Rather, the prince should be ready to reward men who want to do these things, and those who endeavor in any way to increase the prosperity of their city or their state. As well as this, at suitable times of the year, he should entertain the people with shows and festivities. And since every city is divided into guilds or family groups, he should pay attention to these, meet them from time to time, and give an example of courtesy and munificence, while all the time, nonetheless, fully maintaining the dignity of his position, because these should never be wanting in anything.
Grazie. Should we send this paragraph to Trump? How to
I
govern?
don't think he can read it.
Huh? Maybe. He won't read, that's for sure, he won't read it. He doesn't know how to read anyway, so.
It's
But
too
I hope
long,
some
right?
of his,
The attention span.
maybe some of his people around him will have intelligence enough to learn to read.
Golf cart driver.
Yes. And that's the greatness of Machiavelli. Now, let's go back to his tomb here. Now, if you can read, it's something written in Latin, okay? Can you read the words of the epitaph, what is written? They can't read it. We can come closer by, maybe. All right, at the end, it said, tanto nomini nullum par elogium Nicholas Machiavelli. Now, to such a great man, no eulogy is sufficient, is enough, is appropriate. That's in Latin, obviously. Com'è?
Posso dire una cosa?
Sì, sì.
Lui ha scritto la mandragola.
Certo, ha scritto anche la mandragola,
la
sì, sì,
Chiesa
sì.
non sempre
Ha
fa
scritto
un po'
anche
bene.
altre cose, certo, certo, sì, sì.
I
Ah,
frati, no.
sì, ma mandragola è un'opera teatrale, va bene. It's a little bit funny, okay? We had to, was the Renaissance, so
Come dico?
it's, sì, ha scritto tante altre cose, ma questo è il suo capolavoro, il suo masterpiece, va bene?
Ha dovuto studiare tutta Roma.
Va bene, let's see the picture of him with his book. So, Niccolò Machiavelli, The Prince. This is the famous painting, by the way, of him. So it's in Florence. Poi c'è la tomba di Dante. Questa è Michelangelo. Questa è la tomba di Michelangelo in Santa Croce, naturalmente. E poi Dante, ok, questa, no, the tomb of Dante, okay. Now, he knows, Mark Twain knows that this is not the real tomb of Dante, this is a fake one, it's empty, okay? Because the real tomb is at Ravenna, where he died, in the convent of his daughter there. And c'è scritto, onorate l'altissimo poeta. Onorate l'altissimo poeta. Now the city of Florence, okay? It's petitioned the Italian president, the Italian government, many times to have his body brought from Ravenna to Firenze, qui. And the people of Ravenna said, no, 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 no. You did not want him when he was alive. Yeah, now he's dead, it's ours. We took care of him. And look at what this says here now, Mark Twain. Mark Twain says he went there in Santa Croce to weep. He's a grown man, to weep over the tomb of Michelangelo Machiavelli Galileo. e su quella vacante di Dante. So he knows it's vacant, okay? And then gives his judgment. That ungrateful city, so in reference to Florence, ungrateful city that had exiled him. Yes, lo mandò in esilio. And they persecuted him. And they would have given much to have it there, to have it, in Florence. So really, he cries over the tomb of these great people. He must have known from high school or college, he ever studied those things, obviously. And now see them, in person, alive, in his hands. So adesso può toccare con le mani, he can touch with his own hands, right, the tombs of this great man. Okay, go back to the, yes, now, this famous painting of the Divine Comedy, it's like, a picture of the whole poem, okay? It's in the Cathedral of Florence. It's visible big. And you see something written, it's open the book, okay? Are the first 3 lines of the Divine Comedy. So let's recite them together, okay? Nel mezzo del cammin di nostra vita mi ritrovai per una selva oscura che la dritta via era smarrita. So halfway through the journey of our lives, I found myself in a dark road. And the right road was lost. Now, the genius of the poets can touch eternity in time. It says nostra vita. Why it says nostra vita instead of saying mia vita? So, everyone. Includes everyone. But then it switches. Mi ritrovai in una selva oscura. I found myself in a dark world. And the right road was lost. So now he presents his own experience in life. And the 2 people come to help. They take us by hand through this wonderful journey of life. E chi sono? The first one is Virgilio. Who's Virgilio? Virgil, the Roman poet, is the greatest Roman poet. A symbol of human reason, logic. And the second guide is a wonderful girl. Her name is Beatrice. Symbol of human life, but also divine life. So these 2 guides help us through life. Wonderful image. Only the poets are able to have this type of inspiration. So one more time. Nel mezzo del cammin di nostra vita mi ritrovai per una selva oscura che la dritta via era smarrita. Exactly why? Because it was exiled from Florence, so it's dark world. But it doesn't get lost, despair, doesn't despair. He has faith. Wow. Why halfway through the journey of our life? Now, he began writing the poem when? In the year 300. It was the first Jubilee year, by the way. I mean, 1300, we said 300, it's 1300. And he was born in 1265. And 1265 until 1300 are what? How many years? 35 years. So that's halfway the journey of life. Okay? 35 plus 35, and especially in those days, now the life was a little shorter than now, so 70, 75. And that's what I say, nel mezzo del cammin di nostra vita. Life is a journey towards what? It's not toward the end, towards the vision of, no, towards the vision of God, okay? Towards the vision of God. In fact, all the three, inferno, purgatorio e paradiso, terminano con una parola. Quale parola? Stella. To see the stars. So, the book that is open in front of him, that's what is the first three lines of Divine Comedy. From, okay, let's go see the previous one. What's the, no, door? Okay, this is the grandiose, it's called Porta del Paradiso, Gate of Paradise. This is the baptistry door. In those days, the baptistry was not inside, was outside the church, of any church. Because you could not get in the church unless you are baptized first. So, so they are just grandiose door. This is not the replica door. The real one is inside the museum. This is just a replica because otherwise been outside in the snow, rain, etc. We would have ruined it. So they made a copy. Ghiberti, Lorenzo Ghiberti, yes, 25 anni, he spent 25 years. Remember, all these things, all these arts are all the Medici, all the Medici were helping the artists and the arts of the artists, okay? And that's why Michelangelo, and that's why our friend Mark Twain says, let her plan the Medici. So what he was saying is saying, let the Medici in all other cities in the world do what they have done for Florence. What a great tribute to the Medici family. Now, by the way, the prince is dedicated to whom? Lorenzo de' Medici. Va bene? So, if we go, because they were rulers of Florence for 2 centuries, okay? So we're good rulers. Well, they had some problems. Also, they gave me 2 popes. So between Rome and Florence, it cannot go wrong, right? Do we have another one from Florence? Okay, this is the cathedral again. Okay, this the panorama. Okay. But the bell tower of the cathedral was designed by Giotto. We say Giotto in English, so Giotto. And so many artists worked on the basilica and then the cathedral. But Brunelleschi is the genius. Brunelleschi, that is to the, no, the, now, the dome was left for a long time unfinished because they did not know how to do it. It was open. Brunelleschi came up with a brilliant idea. The bricks, okay, they supported each other themselves. They are pushed one after the other. So there are 2 cupolas, one inside, one internal, and one is external. So, what a genius idea. And that's more than 5 centuries, still standing. And Michelangelo also sent his nephew, okay, to Florence to see how the bricks were the cupola of the Cathedral of Florence. And his nephew told them, yeah, they're like this. And they did the same thing with the cupola of St. Peter's in Rome. They both are standing after 5 centuries, no problems. Okay, then from Florence, he has to pay a visit to whom? To where? To a city? Pisa. Pisa. Had to see this famous monument, the Leaning Tower. And then as all the tourists also try to do what? To push up, to fix it. Or try to fix it. And he knows also the reason why. I mean, Mark Twain, he knows the reason why it's still leaning. In his mind, obviously. Because it was not designed by Michelangelo. That's why. Okay? Because it did everything perfect. So, but it was built before Michelangelo, so he could not have done it. Okay? And now from Pisa goes Roma. Roma. And now he has some questions about this visit to Rome. Sarah, please.
What is there in Rome for me to see that others have not seen before me? What is there for me to touch that others have not touched? What is there for me to feel, to learn, to hear, to know that shall thrill me before it passed to others? But what can I discover? Nothing, nothing whatsoever, but if I were only a Roman.
Once again, a great tribute to Rome. Then he goes up. Okay, this is the famous Arch of Constantine, Emperor Constantine. Okay? It's famous for many reasons, but one reason why. Why is Constantine so important for the church? Yes?
He was the first Roman Empire to acknowledge Christianity.
Benissimo, bravissimo. Okay? He legalized Christianity. He legalized all the religions, by the way. Okay, not just simple Christianity. But it played a very important event, 313 AD. Okay, so 3 centuries about to stop what? The persecution of the Christians. Why the Christians were persecuted? For the simple reason that they were not worshipping the Roman gods. Apollo, Venus, Mars, that we all know, all the planets, right? And so they thought they were rebel against Rome. And that's why they were persecuted. So finally, he realized they were not rebels, so he legalized them. But then he did also the second step. 325, he did what? The Council of Nicaea. And Nicaea is not in Italy. It's where? It's in Turkey. Right? Because the church at that time was not yet in Italy, so strong, because in the Middle East, that's where it was born anyway. So, the bishops of the Council of Nicaea, the majority were from the Middle East, Greece, etc., Syria, especially Syria. And that's when they came up with the famous credo that we are familiar with. That's when it was established at that time. Then Mark Twain, the Basilica, please, the Basilica. Okay. He goes up the steps. There are 327 steps to go right up on top of the Basilica. Okay, we made it. I made it with my son Joey a few years ago.
I did too.
You did too?
With my mother, when she turned 65.
Wow, great. Now, if you don't feel, please don't do it, don't go it, okay? There are 327 steps. But every now and then, there is a station, the telephone to call the Swiss guards or other people, they come arrest you. All right? Yeah, they are somewhere in there. They are there. About every 25, 50 steps about this station. Okay, at least to rest also, okay? So it is very, he was young, I was, so we did it together. Right, Joe? Yeah.
It's tough.
Yes, say it. What's tough?
It's tough as a teenager.
Yeah, for a teenager, right? Yes. And of course, from the top of St. Peter's Basilica, he sees the panorama of Rome in front of him. But it's not just a physical panorama, but a history panorama. He recalls all the events of the Roman history from the top of St. Peter's Basilica. Campagna Romana, Via Appia. So everything comes to his mind, what we learn in our history classes in America. The battles the Romans fought. He knows even the Orati Curiati. Orati Curiati, it's a famous battle between the Etruscans and the Romans, and there was no end to the battle, constantly going back and forth. Finally, they chose two sets of twins, Orati, Romani, Curiati, Etrusci, okay? So this famous battle goes on like this. One of the Roman soldiers was killed, so was left only one Roman soldier against two. So the Roman soldier did something brilliant. Only, a general could come up with the idea. He ran away from them. By running away from them, he did what? He separated them, the two, right? And so then he killed one at a time instead of one against two. And that's why he knows this event, the battle of the Orati Curiati. If you go to Rome in the city hall, there is many rooms, are Julius Caesar room, of course, Augusta room, there's also room of the Orati Curiati battle, remembering the Orati Curiati battle. By the way, in this room, the Orati Curiati battle, in this room in Rome, the city hall of Rome, in 1957, a famous treaty was signed. Are you familiar with this famous treaty of 1957?
Treaty of Rome?
Treaty of Rome, but to establish what?
Europe.
European community. And with this great treaty, they would abolish the what? The dogani, means the tariffs between the European countries. What a brilliant idea. What a great idea. To heal the problems of the war, but also to have an exchange of the goods. No taxations and no tariffs like this idiot is trying to do now. That's why Europe is so great, is so strong and prosper and peaceful. What a great idea, one after the other. And then in Rome, in the Colosseum, okay, let's go back to the Colosseum. Right. In the Colosseum, Mark Twain imagines
The movie.
gladiatorial games, obviously, okay? And even imagines that he finds playbills announcing new lions, new gladiators, engagements of the renewed Marcus Marcellus Valerianus, so which is himself. He thinks I want to fight the battle. Okay? So, and then he finds also, he invents this love note from a Roman girl to his boyfriend, to her boyfriend. Okay? It's written in Latin, of course, because he imagines, he must have studied Latin too, obviously. Occurrebi Tarpeia, cras vespere care, ad septem PM, mater abest visitanda amicas in collibus Sabinis. Meet me near the Tarpeian rock, dear, at the 7 p.m. My mother is absent, visiting girlfriends or friends in the Sabine hills. Sabine is a northern girl. So his visit to Rome is grandiose because they come to him with so many memories. And then from Rome goes where? He can't miss out Napoli. All right, Napoli. Why is so great Napoli? Because at that time, especially then, was not as spread as now, or as built up. So where all the hills you can see were just a single houses here and there. So it was a grandiose panorama, and that's why he reminds him the famous line about Napoli. Vedi Napoli e poi muori. For this grandiose view that he has in front of him. But he sees the panorama of Napoli from Mount Vesuvius. He goes up to Mount Vesuvius. And then, because of Mount Vesuvius, he has to continue straight to Pompeii. Now, Pompeii, of course, we know what it's all about, right? So Pompeii is not a buried city anymore. We know the excavations and reveals a perfect Roman city of 79 AD. Okay? The eruption began October 24, 79 AD, about 2,000 years ago. And the excavations revealed so many things about the life in this burial city. Okay, we see it at the Vesuvius on top over there. Next one, please, Joey. Okay, this famous house is called the Faun, the statue of this garden. Now, this little thing that you see was important because we collected the rainwater for the gardens. Okay, next one. Now, that's a sign. Not all of the houses had one, but some had this in mosaics, not just a little sign, beware the dog. In Latin, cave canem. So beware of the dog. In mosaics, right in the atrium, in the entrance, or in the patio. Okay, cave canem, beware of the dog. And then, Mark Twain knows everything about this young man. This young man is called Pliny the Younger. Pliny the Younger, all right, is associated with Pompeii, with the eruption of Pompeii, because he did something that any student should do, okay, in a sense. His uncle, his name is also Pliny the Elder. Okay, once he saw the volcano exploding, invited his nephew to come along with them. And his nephew was 17 years old. 17 anni, 17 years old. You want to know what he told his uncle? I cannot come with you. I have to stay home I have my Latin homework to do.
What an excuse.
But then the beauty is, by staying home and did this Latin homework, he survived. And his son instead died. The smokes of the gases, of the scent of the ashes. Homework does what? Saves lives.
Should be written in every school.
17 years old, young conscientious student, over 2,000 years ago.
The secret to survive.
Should be written in every school.
So, if we go to Pompeii, when we go to Pompeii, you see streets, schools, hotels, restaurants named Pliny the Younger, in his honor. Because really, he also described the eruption of Mount Vesuvius too, okay? In Latin to his friend Tacitus, another historian. He described whatever, because he survived, so he knew what was going on. So he saved his life, and saved also his mother's life. They were at a safer distance, okay? And the Miseno, if you know a little bit the geography of the Gulf of Napoli, so Miseno was, they got some ashes, by the way, so, but they survived it because it was not the majority of the ashes that fell on Pompeii near Colonium. And Mark Twain knows about him. Look what he says about Mark Twain about Pliny the Younger.
Compare the cheerful life and the sunshine of this day with the horrors the younger Pliny saw here, the 9th of November AD 79, when he was so bravely striving to remove his mother out of reach of harm, while she begged him, with all a mother's unselfishness, to leave her to perish and save himself. By this time the murky darkness had so increased that one might have believed himself abroad in a black and moonless night, or in a chamber where all the lights had been extinguished. On every hand was heard the complaints of women, the wailing of children, and the cries of men. One called his father, another his son, and another his wife, and only by their voices could they know each other. Many in their despair begged that death would come and end their distress. Some implored the gods to scour them, and some believed that this night was the last, the eternal night, which should engulf the universe.
Grazie, Sarah. Now, Mark Twain returned to America, okay? But still it was so much, influenced by the Italian art, etc. Planted in Rome. He tries to come up with this famous poem, a legend. It's called Legend of the Capitoline Venus. Okay, this is the Pompeii painting that we found during the excavations. This famous, beautiful girl and the spring. This is spring. Okay, now let's go quickly to the Legend of Capitoline Venus. This is the famous Roman statue. Okay, quickly we go through this famous short story of Mark Twain. So, he invents this, imagine that a starving American artist in Rome, okay, he has made the statues, he tried to sell it, but it's worthless. But he wants to marry Mary Morgan, okay, Mary Morgan. And her father says, Joey, please. My dear
sir, it is useless to talk. I haven't anything against you, but I can't let my daughter marry a hash of love, art, and starvation. I believe you have nothing else to offer.
Wow, what a thing to say. And then he continues. He tried to say, to convince him, the father said, look, I have the statues worth billions of dollars or lira. And then he says,
no, sir. Show me $50,000 and you can have my daughter. Otherwise, she marries the younger Simper. You have just 6 months to raise the money in. Good day, sir.
What an imperial order to follow. So, this George, his name is George, is desperate, obviously, right? Okay? And now, he has a friend. His name is Smith. And he studied laws in Italy. So he knows the Italian laws. And he tells him, I know what to do, okay? Give me your statures. I know what to do. And in 6 months, before 6 months are up, you can get the $50,000 and more. So what he does, he breaks the fingers, he breaks a little bit the knees, the nose, and he buries it. Why? To make sure that it will age and this look like a Roman statue, because in Italy constantly will find statues, mosaics, vases, underground, even under the sea. So, before the 6 months are over, he writes an article about the Italian newspaper in Rome. Say, what a discovery, because he excavated the statues. What the monument, what a grandiose Roman art. And then, guess what? The Pope, his name is not Benedict XVI, but Benedict XIV. Okay? Pope Benedict XIV, before 16, I was right, buys the statues for 10 million lire. Okay? So, now, he has, the artist, he has that's by everybody, okay? And they know knocking on his door. Joey? Where are we? It's missing? Oh, okay. All right, the shoemakers will come, knock on his door, says, Signoria vostra, you can read it.
Signoria vostra, ecco un nuovo paio di stivali. Non vi preoccupate di parmigi. Non c'è nessuna fretta. Arrivederci.
Bravo. Okay. Now comes next one.
Scusate, signore, vi ho portato un nuovo vestito fatto con le mie mani.
So a tailor comes in and says, I know shit for you. Don't worry about paying me, because they read the newspaper article. So next one.
Mi
Scusate.
scusate per questa intrusione, Vostra Eccellenza. Ho preparato un magnifico appartamento per voi.
So the landlord wants to give him even a better apartment. And
Io sono venuto che vostro credito a Banco di Roma è stato risposato di
abbondanza. So what do we, when the banker comes in and says, now you can withdraw the money you want from your account. And now comes the father of the girl.
Mio nobile giovanotto, Mary è tua. Lei viene subito. Prendila, sposala, amala. Siate felice. Dio vi benedica.
Amor omnia vincit. It's in Latin, amor omnia vincit. That's a famous line of Virgil. Love wins everything, conquers everything. And now,
Oh, George, my own darling, we are saved.
Oh, Mary, my own darling, we are saved, but I swear I don't know how or why.
because he did not read the newspaper, the article, so he doesn't know why now all these people coming to me. Oh, we want to give everything to me. So, the beauty of the story is this, that, of course, he gets married. And so he makes her believe that he made the statue of Venus, the Roman statue of Venus. But the beauty is that in 1211, the statue of Capitoline Venus of Rome was brought to Washington, the National Museum of Art, to honor what? to honor both Mark Twain, obviously, honor Italy for this 150 years of the Italian unification. And this is the statue. I'll see the next one. That's it. National Gallery of Art, the Capitol in Venus, in 2011. So 2011. What did I say? 2011. Okay, 2011. Okay, so about 15 years ago. Was brought to Washington in honor of Mark Twain because the brilliant short story and of his grand tour of Italy, and also celebrate the Italian unification. And also they made, they call it in Italiano, they call it gemellaggio, twin cities. Rome and Washington became twin cities because they both have the Capitol Hill. So, Venere Capitolina dal Colle Capitolino di Roma, benvenuta sul Colle Capitolino d'America. Grazie Mark Twain. Adesso abbiamo pizza, abbiamo altro, va bene? So, let's have a bread.